The Christian spiritual discipline of simplicity is the intentional practice of prioritizing God and his kingdom above material possessions, busyness, and distractions, leading to a life of freedom, contentment, and undivided devotion. That sounds great. Like, I think if I read, like, leading to a life of freedom, contentment, and undivided devotion, we'd all be like, yeah, I want that life. Like, give me that life. That sounds fantastic. But I have to fill in the blank. But my life isn't that way because fill in the blank. Our lives in this culture move continuously. The gravitational pull of all of our lives is towards complexity and complication. More, 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 more. And without vigilant intentionality, our lives will only get more cluttered and full of stuff. The easy yoke and the light burden of Jesus is a resistance toward this complexity and a movement towards simplicity. It should be simple, which is not the same thing as easy. I mean, there's some difficulty. The easy yoke of Jesus and the light burden doesn't mean that it isn't going to cost you something. It isn't going to have moments where it's a challenge, but it should be simple and not complex or complicated. Richard Foster distinguishes simplicity like this in, of course, his classical book, Celebration of Discipline. He said, the Christian discipline of simplicity is an inward reality that results in an outward lifestyle. And this is what's going to be really important to try to, with my time, define simplicity as we have to do this on two fronts. One is an internal simplicity and the other is an external simplicity. If we only focus on the external simplicity, the disciplines and the things that we can do to unclutter our life, to declutter our schedule and our hearts and minds, if we only focus on the external stuff and you spend the next month vigilantly working through all of that external stuff, if you don't deal with the internal simplicity, then it won't take you long to get back to right where you are right now. So we're gonna have to work on both fronts, internal simplicity and external simplicity. And here's to try to on a message on simplicity, I'm going to do my best not to make this complicated. All right, as simple as this. Simplicity is not possible without clarity. We must be clear about what matters most. You can't have simplicity without clarity. And this is what we often are too busy, too distracted to really get clarity in our life. And we have to be clear about what matters most. Jesus gives us what matters most. He says, again, Matthew 6:33, seek the kingdom of God above all else and live righteously, and he will give you everything you need. He also distills the entire law, the entire Torah, which had 613 laws. He distilled it down as simple as it gets when he was asked in Mark chapter 12, what is the most important commandment? And he quotes from Deuteronomy 6. He says, listen or hear, Shema is what that comes from in Deuteronomy 6. Listen, this is the most important commandment. Listen, O Israel, the Lord our God is the one and only Lord, and you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. The second is equally important. Love your neighbor as yourself. No other commandment is greater than these. Jesus is really clear about what is to matter most in our life. Him, his kingdom, and love for him and each other. That's what's to matter most. Now, just pastorally, to take a brief aside here. It does you and I no good to lie to ourselves. Right? Because this is one thing we're all exceptionally good at. Deception, self-deception. And so I get it. You call yourself a Christian, you call yourself a follower of Jesus. You know that's the right answer. You know, if this is Sunday school and you ever wonder what's the answer to the question that's being asked, it's 100% of the time. Just say Jesus. So if we say, what matters most, of course, everybody's gonna be like, well, Jesus. And okay, I can refine that a little bit based on these texts. The kingdom of God is what's to matter most. And love for God and love for people is what's to matter most. And we all know that that's what it should be. But we also have to grapple with the reality that it might not be so internally. And so when you're looking at Christian discipleship like a map, we have a destination that we all want to mature and grow to, that our lives look like Jesus, that what matters to him matters to us. And when he says the kingdom of God and love for God and love for people is what matters most, then that would be true of me. But we have to acknowledge that the "you are here" pin might not be exactly where that is. And don't lie to yourself. You have to be able, this is why clarity matters. And I can't just give you a bunch of stuff about clearing out your life in simplicity and you not deal with the real internal drivers that you're dealing with. Is reputation what's most important to you? Is status what's most important to you? Is recognition what's most important to you? And you don't have to lie to yourself. If that's true, it's wrong. That's not good. But if that's where you're at, be truthful about it. But then we have to decide, is this worth it to us or not? Is following Jesus worth it or not? And we have to be clear about what he says and not what we project onto him. And he says the kingdom of God and love for God and love for people is what matters most. So at least if we say we're followers of Jesus, then our lives should be moving in that direction. That whatever else is a part of our life, our relationships, our family, our wealth, our possessions, our time and schedule, all of those things need to be moving in the direction of what Jesus says matters most. And it's really important to know what matters most, because if you don't know what matters most, then you will be tyrannized by what you want right now. Because what you want right now and what matters most don't always align. And we live in a world that is designed to elicit desire and then meet it with 2-day free shipping on a lightning deal. So it's actually very easy in our world to get what you want right now. You have an impulse, you have a desire, you can get it. And often, not that say that those things are sin, they could be, but they're not always sin. Often, we get tyrannized by what we want right now, and we move away from where we want to be and what matters most. I've had the privilege of pastoring to be with people when they're in their final days, and sometimes in the final day. And I do appreciate when they feel the desire to reflect on their life with me. And it's a moment of grappling, and some with regret and some with pride or esteem, things that they're proud of. And not a single time has someone grappling with that said, you know what matters most is all that I achieved in my life. It's never happened. I'm not saying it would never happen in all of human history, in all human beings, but anyone who's remotely called themselves a Christian, and many people who haven't called themselves a Christian, it's never been that. It's never been, man, I wish I would have watched more YouTube. I wish I would have spent more time on Instagram. That's what matters most to me. It's never happened. And it's never gonna happen. Why? Because we know those things waste time. It's not that they're sin or wrong, they just waste time. No, 100% of the time, either the regret or the thing they're the most proud of is their relationship with God and the people that matter most to them, their family, close friends, their communities, 100% of the time. And not that any of you are on your final few days, but how much more important is it for us that are not in our final days to decide that now and prioritize that now and anchor our life in that now and then live out the rest of our days with that kind of clarity and simplicity.